everyone and welcome.
Hello.
Hi, so welcome to our Creativity Save Me chat show. Tonight we have got a guest, very special guest called Adriana Jaros. She is a concept experience artist and designer. She paints these really amazing pieces of artworks and murals. She's just done one in a hospital, which is really beautiful. And we're chatting with her tonight, which we're really excited about.
Yeah, I think we were really drawn to her work because it's very kind of architectural.
Yeah.
And Ali especially is very attuned to colour, and she's got amazing colour choices.
Yeah.
Kind of almost like vintage looking, but kind of Hispanic as well, but very contemporary.
Yeah, and she's really interested in how colour and spaces interact together, which I'm sure she's going to explain tonight, and how colour can change the way you feel in a space. So it can change maybe your experience of somewhere to become a positive one that wasn't already before.
Yeah.
So it's quite exciting.
Yeah, so what was the term she uses? Concept
experience
Concept
artist
experience
and designer.
artist, which we've never heard of before, so I'm looking forward to seeing how she kind of explains that.
Yeah, she's just joined in the chat, so I think she'll be requesting a minute to join our live.
Yeah.
She's just done a really recent collaboration as well, which I'm sure she'll discuss. But it was using wooden veneers and paint together. It was really cool, wasn't it?
Yeah, you can see that she's definitely not scared to try out new techniques.
Yeah.
So she's moved from to mixed materials.
And lots of collaborations.
Yeah, one to watch.
Yeah.
She should be joining us any second.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi. How are you doing?
So nice to finally see you.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm Ali, and this is Mark.
Hello, nice
Hi,
to meet
Ali and
you.
Mark.
Hi. So this is Adriana. So Adriana, maybe you can just give a little bit of an overview of who you are and what you do.
Sure. So who I am, Adriana Jaroslavsky, better known Adriana Jaros on my Insta, because Jaroslavsky has all the letters of the alphabet. So it's easy. I am originally from Venezuela, but I've moved to London since we moved here 2011, so 9 years ago. And
Cool.
what I do, it's difficult to define.
Yeah.
We were in the same.
Yes, it's quite pretentious to say that to us, like to oneself, that you're an artist, but I guess that's what better could define it. I have a language that I would like to translate into any medium and any project that's approached where I sort of like sink into the values and ethics of the project, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I guess that's what I do, or at least that's what I aim to do.
Definitely. I mean, we've seen a lot of your pieces and they're very varied as well. I mean, one minute you're working with paint like on a board or a canvas, and the next minute you're doing installations in places. It's really exciting.
Yes. It also allows for when you're creating to not sort of define yourself so much. I was writing this thing this morning where they also asked me, so what do you like doing best? Is it this? Is it that? But we tend to fall into this sort of need to categorize things. And I find it very difficult. Maybe I'm lazy and pretentious, or like I just want to do it all. But I really would hate to think that I'm just that, but with an actual want to do that. I was also thinking, like, I'm sure you guys can relate. Like, I can think of a chair, but I can't make it. But of course, you could collaborate with someone that's also like keen to your language and likes your use of color, and then you could like create something together. I guess that's where magic could happen, I guess. Yeah.
Definitely. I think there's also a benefit as well of going into an area that you're not that familiar with, because you don't put restrictions on yourself. Whereas if you've been designing chairs for like 10 years, you'll have this preconception of what a chair is and what you can and can't do.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. There's also this thing about when you don't know the field, you're a bit more less judgmental on what you're creating. You think, well, but a leg could be upwards. Why does it have, or it could have just 3 legs. can it stand in two legs? And then that's when someone that's very based on their craft would say, no, that's impossible. And those type of people are sometimes very hard to work with. But I've found that there's so many people in their craft where they've been like, I've never done this, but 100% let's try it. And that's just such a nice sort of like serendipity moment where you're like, right, he's willing, and we could create something that's actually not out there yet. Perhaps many times it's been a really like a failure. I would say perhaps 90% of the time. It's been like, oh, it doesn't stand. But at least the process has been such a joy that's worth it. Yeah,
and you've learned a lot along the way.
100%. Yes, that's it.
Definitely.
So let's go back to the very beginning then, back to Venezuela. What were you like at school? Were you into an arty student, or did it come later?
What was I like in school? I was very rebellious.
Brilliant.
I was really, I was like a bit mad with life, not fitting in completely, not finding myself. It was hard. It was very like, it was hard in a way that I didn't feel like I belonged, but it wasn't that I had any sort of like hardship. I had a beautiful home that I grew up with. I was in very deep contact with my family, my grandmother, my parents, my sister, which is such a pillar in my life. So in that sense was very nice. But in the sense of like creating like a community, I didn't feel like I was understood. And my mom used to say that I was a rebellious, a rebel without a cause. That's how you say it. Yes. She was like, but what are you mad about? Like, life is good. Like, what do you want? Some pencils? Like, what do you want? Yeah. But I just didn't know that what was wrong. I guess that you sort of figure it out when you're in the middle of like the turmoil. You don't necessarily know you can't point it with your finger. Now that I'm like far like from it, I can see, right, I wasn't fitting in, I wasn't nurtured, or perhaps in the creative way in certain aspects. But I still work it on therapy. Like I'm still like, what's this? Like, I'm not angry, and I'm a bit of a rebel, but I'm more of a mental rebel. Like, I want to do things different, but not because I want to rebel against nothing specific, I guess. But yeah.
You want to do it your own way, kind of thing.
Yeah. I want to be curious about why things are done the way they are. Why do we say certain things about certain like concepts? Sort of questioning the things.
Challenging it. Yeah.
I guess at the time you probably didn't know what questions to ask.
No idea.
Yeah.
Do you think you channeled that rebelliousness into your art then?
I hope I do. I hope I do. In the sense that a rebel is probably someone that's really curious. It's really hard to sort of say these things about yourself because you're you. So it's like I'm thinking one thing about myself, but we never are truly sure of what we really are. We see ourselves as something, but not necessarily. We don't see ourselves as what other people are looking at us. I remember having this conversation with a friend walking on the streets, and I was like, I'm really not a good person. Like, I'm really like bad. And then someone walked towards us, and I knew the person. I was like, hi. And she just laughed, like, you are a really nice person. It's just the concept of yourself that you've got in your brain. Yeah. We tend to be quite like judgy of ourselves and how we behave and the things that we do. I sort of hope that I channel the bit where I'm curious about the processes and like about my own process and what am I actually giving, or what am I representing, or who am I pairing with in terms of art and or craft and design. But I don't know if it translates as being a rebel. I don't know. You tell me.
The questioning, I think, and just keep on moving and keep like keep bringing up new ideas and collaborating, and I guess that's the way you've channeled it.
Yeah. Also, please do stop me if I just go on a tangent, because apparently I do this quite a lot, where someone asks me something and I'm like blah 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 blah, and then an hour has passed and I've said nothing.
True artist. You tell the stories.
So did you grow up in like a rural area, or was it a city?
It was a city. It was Caracas, so the main city of Venezuela.
Mm-hmm.
It was. I grew up in a very insular sort of community, but Caracas is a real, like, they call it Cracas. So like, it's dangerous. It was catalogued as one of the most dangerous cities in the world.
Wow.
Growing up, I didn't felt like it was dangerous. You just get used to the situation of like not walking on the streets, and like you're aware of it, but you're not necessarily like not doing things because of it. It was very happy place. The weather was absolutely perfect. It was like 28 degrees with a lovely breeze. The food was incredible. And the most precious thing is that you're with your family.
Yeah.
And like they're there, you just drive for like 5 minutes and you can see your grandma, which is one of the things that's hard of being abroad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you miss them a lot now?
Yeah, I do. I miss them in the sense that I miss having them being part of my life, like in the day-to-day things, or like when you have something that's successful, you would wish to show them or like share them with them, other than just the computer. And just like that feeling of like having hug your mom when you have a tough day. I guess that although in London there's so many people, that even English people, that don't have their families just living at a like distance from them, but yeah, that's the thing, that's the one thing that I've missed. And the other thing is like being far, the thing that I remember that's home in my memory doesn't exist anymore. Venezuela as I knew it when I left it 9 years ago is just not there. The things that I miss, I've been back a few times for my grandpa's like 80th birthday, and it's just, it doesn't even smell the same, which is weird.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's weird, but that's very personal, of course. But I guess it's a change in me that the space doesn't smell the same. My house didn't smell like my home, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Is that your feelings have changed?
I think we definitely changed. The country has changed quite a lot, of course. Politically, it's been a mess, and in terms of like finding supplies and everything else, it's an economical. Right now it's very difficult. It is a dictatorship at the moment. They've been instilled in power for like 20 years. Really dark moment that they're living. I think they're lowest in Venezuela. And there's that feeling of like when you have that, I'll never be English, and I'm from Venezuela, but there's something that I am. It's like 1 + 1 = 3 instead of 2, right? There's that thing in the air that I don't know where I belong exactly, or what am I. It's the same thing with what do you do? Well, I do this and that, and it's a melting thing of all of this, which I guess it's what I am.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, really interesting. How did you end up in the UK then? Why did you come to this country?
Well, we had it. I'm here with my husband, which is near me, just listening, and he's like, I might come.
Hello, husband.
We came here 9 years ago, so we had the chance to go to America or come here, and he's half Italian, so we thought, right, this makes sense. His sister lives here, so we had at least a bit of family here, and we moved here. It was absolutely crazy. Like, you think you can speak English until you go to uni in a complete different language, and you're like, what am I doing? Yeah,
you learn quickly though, don't you? When you just fasten your feet.
It's honestly, but it was challenging also because I've already had a career and I went into a BA from scratch. So I was going to uni with girls that weren't my age, and there wasn't anyone else that was like from Latin America or another side of Europe. There was a lot of like Asian girls, which were great, but they sort of like stick to each other.
Yeah.
And then I was almost like in a bit of my life where I was just wanting to go and learn, and like I was like, I want to be successful. I want to, like I just wanted to like, and then people, sometimes when you go to uni that young, you're only like what, 16, 17?
Yeah. You don't know.
Already, yeah. And I was already 23. So it was a bit lonely, the uni for me. But it was great in terms of technical experience. I was like best friends with the technical team, which was amazing. Uni was incredible. Like the facilities was amazing. I mean, I took the best advantage. I thought, I didn't even think, what am I going to do when I graduate, which was the hard bit. I think you don't even understand. You go textile design. It's such a broad concept.
Yeah, I take it that's what you studied.
Yeah. So I did graphic design back at home, and then I did textile design here. And it's just very abstract to find a job as a textile. Like, what does that even mean? Textiles for interiors, textiles for fashion, but there's so much, like the range. I don't know. It was a struggle to find, like, and I always sort of thought, well, I find a job right away. Like, let me work for this and let me work for that. It was always a scary thought to work for myself in case like you fail. I don't know. It's very scary. Yeah.
And when you came out of uni, so you tried to get a job then?
Yeah. So I straight away worked in retail.
Okay.
I went into anthropology and I hope no one's watching, but if they do, fuck it. I hated it. Hated it. I was good at sales because I can, as you can see, I can talk all the time. But I was really bad at wanting to be there. I thought, what a waste of like my time. I've got so much that I want to say.
And how long did you work there for?
I think it was a year, but I started doing an internship. So I started doing internships in a design studio whilst I was part-time there. So I was working like 7 days a week. Yeah. But the internship would fill up my heart with like the juice that I needed to just go back to that work. And then I just took the leap and said, I don't care. I'm gonna work. The guys that I was interning with, which is Custom, they were incredible. They were like, right, we'll take you, not many days a week, but we'll take you. And I was like, right, this is it. I started with them and started doing like small projects, self-initiated projects, like a handbag. But I would pour all the stuff, like I would do it so that I thought I could buy it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like I wouldn't compromise and I wouldn't cut corners. I had a friend in Madrid that could take nice pictures of the bags, and I would like embroider them in Portugal. I think I was like, let's just do this great. Yeah. It's part of the process. I sold I think one bag.
Yeah.
But it was
to my sister-in-law as well.
Yeah.
But it's part of the learning. Like I think you have to go through so many things that fail in order to like find yourself or find the stuff that you like. The most important thing I would say is just keep yourself making the stuff, because otherwise you won't find the stuff that doesn't work or the stuff that doesn't fill your heart, or that even if you love it, if you're not able to like engage people in your process, then it's going to be quite hard to maintain yourself in that sort of line.
Yeah. So you were working for them for how long?
I was with them for 2 years.
2 years, and
Yes.
then
then I moved to Floor Story, which is Simon from Floor Story. So I was in a bit of the time I was working for both of the companies.
Yeah.
And I did assist a bit with Camille Molala's paintings of her murals, and I was at her studio for like very little time for part-time whenever she needed it. And then I sort of moved from custom to floor store, which is such a hard thing to do when you move jobs, because I love them.
Yeah.
But there was this other like opportunity, and with Camille, so I couldn't jog. I didn't have 10 days a week.
Yeah.
And I was also trying to do a bit of my own stuff, which was really like nurturing me. And then with Simon, I got the chance to design some rugs, and it was like a little bit of a spark. I was like, right, I love doing this. I love like putting my stuff in a product, or putting my thing on a wall, or like I was also working in a furniture store, and then had like there were so many ideas on like furniture wise and like the rugs. It was just a really nurturing experience. And through Simon, he also collaborates with other artists, so I got to meet so many like amazing people. It was lovely. It was a lovely experience. And then I just was like, right, I think I could make it. There was a bit of like a crazy time where I went through like a moment of, I guess I was turning 30, and I was like, what am I doing with my life?
After 30 meltdown.
I was like, I'm in this small flat in London, like what am I even, what? And I went into like a down, like crash moment where I think you have to go through those struggles to like have breakthroughs.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm leaving. I'm gonna go to Thailand, and I'm gonna leave this, and I'm gonna leave that, all of it. I went like traveling, and that's where I think it had to be like that in order for me to realize, right, let's just give it a try. It doesn't matter how many times you fail, and I've failed, and I keep on failing. Like I can't count the emails that I've sent with no replies, or with thank you but no thank you. I can't. There's thousands, but there's something, and I guess you guys must know where this comes from. There's something that I've been coming home crying, like I'm never doing this again, and then the next day it's 7 a.m. like I just one more email.
Yeah.
So like, you obviously are really creative, and you can like you want to turn your hand at different disciplines. Does that sometimes make it quite hard to know what to do next when you feel like you have so many options?
Many of my projects I started myself, like I just self-initiated myself, but I wouldn't say that it's I wouldn't say it's hard, but there comes to a point where you're like, I do sort of question my process all the time. Is what I'm like, what am I doing? Does this happen to you guys?
I think what we do is a bit different, because we make quite a lot of different styles of things.
Yeah.
So ours is almost about the production now. I think like the art side and the concept happens at the start. And then I guess once we're happy with that, we move on to like the design and the manufacture. And ours is almost a bit more like,
and I guess
logistical almost.
Yeah, and I think we kind of know roughly what the outcome is first. So we'll be like, I'm designing an earring or a piece of jewelry. Whereas for you, I think maybe you have all the ideas, and that's where you start exploring.
Right. You're very focused in, you know exactly what you're doing, the product that you're doing, and the end result.
By and large, there's a bit of experimentation at the start, but we're always confined by what we can kind of produce in batches, I guess.
And conceptual, like, wait, 2 questions. So one, conceptually, you work, so you always create this sort of like jewelry, or have you gone to like other pieces? One question. And the second question is, and you answer it all together. The second question is, do you have like a limited edition, or do you produce a certain amount of?
So we do jewelry and homewares.
Okay.
We're mostly kind of focusing on jewelry right now, because it's kind of like we started off with the homeware, and we were doing things like coasters and placemats, and I suppose once you have a placemat, that's kind of, you've got a placemat.
Slightly less appetite.
Whereas jewelry, you know, there's an appetite for it. People will buy more than one piece, and it's quite fun, a bit more open.
The concept's always, everything we do is related to travel in some way. So we'll kind of dig through our travel experiences, and we'll kind of be chatting about places and look at photos, and then we'll kind of pick out details from those stories, and they kind of
see how we can translate them into products.
The concept was already, for the business, was already set in a way, so we keep returning to that. If that makes sense. It's not like a new thing. So
it's a great concept because you have to travel in order.
Difficult at the moment.
And then we don't do limited editions really. We can just we design things that we can keep reproducing.
You have a laser cutter at home.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's great. We can like try things out and sample.
You enjoy experimenting.
Yeah.
It's a smelly old machine, but it's worth it. You know.
It does smell quite strong, but it's very particular smell as well.
Depends what you burn, I think. Yeah.
It's in our bedroom as well, so it's a lovely aroma of burnt wood.
Your daughter must be like, when she remembers about like daddy and mommy, she's just that smell.
It's just going to be resin and burnt plywood. That'll be her whole upbringing.
Yeah, it'll be like when she comes home, it doesn't smell the same. It doesn't have that burnt smell.
With your baby, do you reckon that she'll? Because I ask this quite a lot in my brain. Like, if a child is brought up by two creatives, do they tend to become more creative? Yeah. Or are they like a mathematician? Like,
well, I think this goes back to what you're saying about rebellion. Sometimes if you're grounded in something, you often feel the need to go the opposite way.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people, creative friends that I know have met, they've gone separate ways to their parents. So we'll see. But then also you do meet people that both had creative parents, and actually a lot of people we've met on the show have come from creative families. So I think it can be both.
Either way.
Yeah. And was there anyone creative in your family?
My parents are creative, but they're not artists as such. So my dad is Brazilian and my mom is Venezuelan, but they're both really hard workers, which I think is what I get from them more than the creative part. Perhaps is they're rebellious. The one person that I remember being really creative when I was growing up, like illustrating everything, was my sister. And we always thought she was gonna be like the illustrator and the drawer. She's still creative. She does like digital products, so like apps and websites. But it turns out that I'm the one that's drawing.
Yeah.
It's weird.
And maybe tell us a bit about your process. Like, how do you start drawing?
I start drawing, well, regularly. I try and do one little drawing a day. So like I've got this sketchbook, which is genius. I love it. It has little dots.
Oh yeah.
Which is like having rulers.
Like a grid.
Yeah. It has a little grid. I think I have one. I have one small one here.
Is this what you're working on?
No. This is just like a little. It's just like a little. So you can see the little. You can see the little dots there.
Yeah.
And what have you coloured that with?
That's Tombow. Wait, I have it here. Oh, I actually have everything here. So that's like the thing. I sort of draw one thing a day, and I write the date, and write sometimes like what I'm feeling, or like good morning. That's what I wrote that. Perhaps it was a good morning.
Like a creative.
These are like the markers that I use.
Are they pens?
They're Tombows, but they have like one little awesome pointy like
Oh yeah. I used to use those at uni.
Yeah.
I was doing like illustration.
Yeah.
Awesome. And they blend. You can blend them. I love them. They're easy, and that's the sort of way of like it's almost like a meditation practice where I just sit down and I draw that really quickly, whatever comes to mind. It doesn't really matter, and I write something like it's as a way of like journaling or just writing. Some days it's just like I feel pretty awful or fuck this. Many days. I think many days is just fuck this. And then for projects, almost always when they're murals or when they're products, they always start on like on the sketchbook, because it's, I don't know, there's something about the relationship with the brain and the hand that can't be reproduced when I go into like Illustrator, and then
Yeah.
I sort of clean them up. I've got this iPad Pro for my birthday, which is great. It's crazy. I know. I thought, meh, it's a gadget, but it's actually quite good. I'll show you.
You like it, yeah.
Yeah, for drawing.
Do you think this will change your process? Will it move you away from your sketchbook?
No, you'll never. No, it starts there. I'll show you because it's quite interesting. So, for example, what can I show you that's not crazy? Well, I show you. Oh, this is actually a cool bit of process because, for example, you see it there, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's a drawing that I have it at the back. So if I go, wait, let me see if I can. If I go on the layers there,
yeah,
and I hide all the layers. I think I've got the no, I don't. Oh, I deleted it. Well, I had that drawing in the background. That's actually like a drawing.
That's your sketch. Yeah,
that was just the sketch that I had it. I put it in there. I had it in the background, and then I went from that to this. No, this.
Oh, cool.
So
I just painted that.
Sort of painted it into that thing.
Yeah. So when you draw it,
wood. I know it's crazy, but it all sort of starts with a sketchbook.
Yeah.
Had a helper.
How are you controlling the camera?
A clever.
I'd be like, come here, say hi.
Hi. My husband.
Hi, husband. Hi.
Invisible.
The invisible. He doesn't exist.
So I was going to ask, when you do your initial like sketch, are you looking at like a photograph? Like how is this coming out in your mind to paper?
It depends on each project, so it varies quite a lot because sometimes it's for a lamp and sometimes it's for a space, for a mural. Sometimes it's for the entrance of a design fair. So it depends on the sort of project and the brief. Sometimes there are briefs, like the more client-based projects that aren't so free. But I would think that 100% of the times it starts with a concept, right? So like you guys go traveling and base your collections on travel, I would say focus on like an architect or a style or an era in time, or it really depends. For example, the recent project for the NHS, it was more like to do with color and blocks of color rather than being really busy with the design, but more like what can feel uplifting and doing more in-depth research about the color combinations and how can it still maintain language but like actually like elevate that experience for the staff member, for the patients. So that's that. But for a drawing you'll be self-initiated, so I'll just start with like, I don't know, I've got this new thing where I just start imagining like weird structures. I'm not an architect, but like I like when the thing looks 3D. It's quite nice. It's quite satisfying when it has like a materiality to it. So, but yeah, it depends. Every single project is different. For like that, the Starbucks project, this guy, well, I'll get it. I've got my flat completely filled with.
Oh, I saw these.
Oh,
yeah. So these guys, which are done with like their recycle like cups.
Oh,
like cups.
These are recycled
great
cups.
recycling.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, and like a bit of like for structure of architecture maquette. Thing, but that is literally just okay. So I thought, right, I'm gonna put forward a concept and let's just focus on like the architecture of the National Theatre in South Bank, which is so beautiful.
Yeah, I love that.
I sketched like so many different like little models, and then I had an architect that's a friend come over and like she teach me how to do this little maquette. And I don't know, each project has a very distinct angle to it, but it always starts with a sort of like narrative, because I think it just adds to the process as a whole. You can always tell when a project has had some thought behind it, and also for ourselves. If we're not basing it in something really nice, we're only just looking to like just have a finished thing, then the process just becomes like a bit meaningless. So
I mean the concept of the hospital is really interesting, like how you're using kind of colors to help people. What kind of came up in your research? How do you hope that paintwork to kind of improve people's lives in the hospital?
Well, it's proven that not necessarily adding color to the walls, but just adding art or like a sense of aesthetic in any environment, any interior environment, just improves instantly your well-being. So it's called neuroaesthetics. It's actually a bit of your brain. For example, when you go into a museum and you go into that space, for me it happens, and anyone that I've talked to, it also happens, where they feel a certain thing, and we all sort of share it, even though like we're from different places or we have different experiences. So of course certain colors makes us feel certain things, and colors are, I think, sort of like a feeling machine type of thing, right? For this specific one, I thought my first sort of pitch, if you want, or like my first sort of the thing that I put forward to them was very subtle, very neutral colors, like very pastel-y and like earthy. And I thought, let's ground it a little bit. Let's not make it. But the guys that were managing the project said, and they have experience because one of them is a therapist, they were like, no, this is completely the opposite. So they actually blew my mind, because what I was thinking, one wants to be calm when you get there. The people that are getting already to therapies are in such a state that they want to be uplifted rather than grounded. They want to feel like elated. And sometimes you don't even know what sort of sparks that. It has happened when I've gone to a friend's house and it's all like really nice and really well like settled, or when you go to dinner and they've made an effort, instantly the feeling it's elevated. It's in the air. Or when you bring flowers to or when you have plants in your house, there are certain elements that are very elemental and very basic, but they make such an impact that it's incredible that we don't do it more. And I was having this conversation with one of the guys from the project, like they're on a mission to do this on every sort of like psychiatric and mental health ward from NHS and beyond. I was thinking every single hospital, they are the ones that need it the most, right? They look so clinical.
True.
So obviously colours like such an important aspect of your work. How do you go about choosing your colours and mixing them?
Well, I have like folders and folders and folders of color references in my computer. So many.
Okay.
From like, I don't know, a chair that I saw, a door that I saw. I keep on taking snaps and pictures of things when I go for walks or on trips.
Yeah, cool.
Or something like that inspires me about someone else's work, that their colors are really beautiful, and I'm like, right, this is. And there's always a language of the things that catches my eyes. I think there is a theory of like we are drawn to certain colors and certain mixes of colors. Each individual person, perhaps informed by how we grew up. I'm not really sure. I haven't looked into it, but I'm almost like certain that that's it. And then I always go to like I'm always drawn to, like, when picking color palettes, pastel colors, and then bringing in a sort of like maroon or something more aggressive, so that it's really unusual, but you're sort of like accepted. Because it's something new. When I was painting this mural, actually, we had this burgundy color, and the guys were quite scared that it was a bit like it was a bit too dark
and aggressive.
It was a bit too aggressive, and I was like, they made me, of course, doubt, because I doubt just normally, but I was sort of like, just trust me, even though it looks weird when you pass that barrier, it's going to be great.
Yeah, you just
it's
get back.
different. Yes, you sort of start understanding it, and your brain then can't look at any other way.
No. And also, I think like, because that's such a big project and you're looking at a section which is like that big and you're just like, okay, these colors together, that's really scary. But actually it's the whole thing.
As a whole.
And it's a massive space.
Yes. It was massive. It was the entrance, and so you would go up the stairs, and there was a landing space, and there was a big like window, and then you go into the reception, and we also did like the mural in the reception. So it was a whole journey.
Wow.
Towards the space where you actually wait, which was grim, and the guys from the staff people, which is the only ones that are allowed in at the moment. They were quite happy. They were like,
I bet.
Yeah, they were like super happy to have a WhatsApp group, and like they were all like sending pictures to each other. Look how I look, and you also, that brings a lot of joy, I guess. If they're the ones that are treating the patients and they are happy, that's the whole cycle.
Yeah, they're there every day. You've made someone's workplace amazing.
Would you do more if they came back to you and said, would you do another hospital? Would you do it?
100%. I would love to do more things like this that have such a strong meaning, because it's a complete cycle for me. It brings me joy, but it means that I'm actually bringing joy. It's quite interesting.
It's kind of like public art, but it's also kind of functional, isn't it? Because it's in a space where people can actually enjoy it every day, rather than kind of in a park or something. So it's brilliant.
I would love to do more social projects like this. It's such a pleasure.
I can imagine you doing like housing estate or something. That would be so cool.
Yeah, I would love it. I mean, come on, bring it to mama.
We went to Slovakia and they've done that actually in housing estates, and they painted them like block bright colours.
Yeah, that's really
wow.
cool.
You should check it out.
There is a project. I think there was a couple of Dutch people that went to Brazil. They went on a trip, but then when they were there and stayed in the favelas, I can't remember the story exactly to the dot, but they went there and then they sort of started painting all of the favelas with the guys from the favelas, and they made it as a project. And then the guys were so proud of like having painted their space that the violence went down like a crazy like 40%, a crazy amount. So like, of course, if you are the one if your space is being treated and it's being cared for, how are you not going to take care of it?
Yeah, respecting it back.
100%.
Definitely. So what would you say is the proudest thing that you've done in your sort of artist career?
Are you guys hard on yourselves? Like, it's so hard to think of a proud moment. I don't know. I don't know. Perhaps the NHS project would be the happiest.
Seems like the right project to pick.
Yes.
And it's a big project as well. So
it was a project with such a wonderful, meaningful side to it. That is just it was joy. I'm not gonna lie, painting a mural, I was sweating like
actually like, really hard work.
Wow. One of those days it was really hot as well, so we were inside, and I was sweating from bits of my body that I didn't know I could sweat from. But
part of that sweat is still in the hospital. You're still there, left them up.
I did almost fell from one of the ladders, and the guy was like, great.
Oh,
good that we're here anyways. But yeah, perhaps that's one of the proudest ones because of the meaning that it has.
It's
the
perfect.
purpose.
Yeah, definitely.
And then what is next in your practice? What do you want to, do you have aspirations for the next year? Any big plans? Or
I have lots of aspirations, but at the moment, with this quarantine crazy moments that we're living, it's such a hard thing to sort of point at a project. All of my projects either go cancelled or paused, and this one weirdly went forward at a really weird time, but I was really grateful for it. I mean, this time has provided sort of like some forced pause for some of us, which I'm really bad at, and I've not been completely like paused in the sense that I've like stopped, but I have been slow in the way that I've been asking myself, what do you really enjoy doing? And sort of like, what are the actual processes? And like painting is one of them that I've really sort of like, I could be in a really like restless mood, and then I start painting, and everything is fine if it's worth it. It's all right. Yeah, I've quite enjoyed that. Of course, painting a mural is something so much more satisfying, but there's someone like, I think they're remodeling their house a few houses from here, and I've been like sneaking in and grabbing the pieces of wood that they're throwing away, the builders, and they're quite big, some of them, so it's like, great, I've got this canvas that actually I can painting on MDF and wood is so satisfying.
Yeah, it looks amazing as well because you get the texture coming through from the grain.
Yes, it's so nice. So I've been enjoying that, and I've been doing more of these like little guys that I love, like imagining and doing them. I've got that. I've got a few like collaborations like on the cook with some really incredible, really talented bunch of artists that I'm almost like, why do you want? But great, let's do something. So do you guys have something planned for the next year, or just keep on? How has this affected you guys? Has this been quite tough?
We were doing Broadway Market. I don't know if you know Broadway Market in London, and we did it every Saturday, and it takes kind of like 2 years to get onto it. So that was just at the start of the year. So we were like super happy, kind of got where we wanted to be.
We were trying really hard. We're making sure we're there on time, you know, not going to mess us up.
But then the market closed, and it's still closed. So we just kind of move our business online. Just not going to do markets anymore after having just got there.
Are they not opening again? Like,
they are. I think it's going to be very different as well, though, when they do open, because obviously, like, people aren't really able to touch things very easily, and I think that they'll have to reduce the number of people going to them so that it's safe. So we've just been really pushing kind of our online at the moment, and actually, like, it seems like it might be viable to continue like that. And
has it worked? Has it been?
And we're actually moving out of London soon as well, so we're just trying to think of the future and what that might look like for us. So
where are you guys going?
To Lewis, near Brighton.
Nice.
Near
the sea.
Near the sea.
Very quiet.
Your baby's gonna love it though.
I think we're just keen to get a little bit more outdoor space for her and be in nature a bit more.
Also, have you seen the artist support pledge?
Yes, we have. Yeah, I see that you're part of it, aren't you?
Because perhaps you guys could do like a piece, a really amazing laser cut piece.
Yeah, I do think, I'm saying to Mark, I'd really, really want to do some wall art, like doing some laser cut and maybe mixing it with paint. But it's crazy because we're like trying to manage looking after a baby and making products.
And I'm working as well, so it's all, it's tricky.
It's crazy.
We'll get
guys, I'm incredibly impressed. I mean, I see you and I think it is possible.
Yeah.
Oh, it's been so nice to chat to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Sorry for my blah blah unstoppable.
It's been brilliant.
Not at all.
That's why we do it. It's a chat show. I want to hear you chat.
I want to hear your story.
So where should people find you if going forward, if they want to see your work?
So this is my favorite platform, Instagram. Adriana Jaros Design is Adriana Jaros Design, and then my website I think is Adriana Jaros without the design, and then email adrianajaros@gmail.com. Basically Adriana Jaros me.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you so much for thinking of me for this. It's great.
That's okay. Maybe one day we'll be able to do a collaboration.
Yes, hopefully. Or we'll go for a coffee when this crazy.
For sure.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah, definitely.
Take care.
And thank you everyone that tuned in.
All the best.
Love you guys.
Thank you so much everyone for tuning in to our Creativity Save Me chat show.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good night.
You too.
See you.